for everything from video games, comic books, films, and beyond. You're listening to the Geek Guy Podcast with your host, Albert Albanese, here on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. What's up, everybody, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Slam Sessions Podcast, right here on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. As you know, if you want to get involved or you want to hear what's going on with the Slam Sessions Podcast Network, you can hit me up on Facebook on Facebook.com/the Slam Sessions Podcast Network, and of course, at the Slam Sessions on Twitter. I'm your host, Albert Albanese, and once again, riding a little bit solo here this week. So this was a pretty decent sized week in the time, just it's a decent sized week in the case of Marvel. Once again, breaking the internet to a point. Marvel released two pretty decent-sized chunks of, actually three decent-sized chunks of stuff that we're going to get into. Two of them we're going to briefly go over because not a lot of stuff was really said about them. One of them was a pretty big deal. We had the reveal for the Defenders' first trailer, which to me looks amazing. And, of course, we had a couple of other big things happen, which we're going to get into right now. We're going to start off. There was a cast poster released for the Hulu series The Runaways. There's not really much to be said about this right now. What we see is that we have the entire cast there. We have everybody in the picture. They're looking like it's going to be something that's going to be pretty badass. I'm a little disappointed in a couple, just for one selfish, I guess, more or less reason. My selfish reason as to why I'm a little upset with the fact that we have the Runaways, being released is that it's a Hulu exclusive, and I don't have Hulu. So that kind of sucks for me because I don't know if I'm actually going to be able to watch this show unless somebody wants to give me their Hulu information. Although maybe I shouldn't be saying that out loud. Maybe saying that I'm siphoning somebody else's password. We know how that's frowned upon in this world. But this might make me actually have to go on and do that one of those things and actually get a Hulu account in order to see some of this stuff. Which it's a little bit disappointing. But there are some other shows actually on Hulu that I kind of wanted to take a look at. So maybe it won't be such a bad thing. Got a lot of free time coming up to myself anyway, so this could be a benefit. The casting looks cool. It looks pretty badass. The idea behind the Runaways is it's a really cool show. And this is something that a lot of Marvel fans have wanted to see for a while. I listened to a couple of different Marvel podcasts that specifically have been talking about the fact that the Runaways was going to start getting made, and that there's going to be a lot of there's a lot of noise coming up about how this could be really a formidable TV show. I like the idea that Marvel is really digging a little bit deeper into their catalog to bring us some new content. I think that Marvel is I've said this so many times, but I think if you're a franchise and you want to look at how people are doing the right thing when it comes to fan service, man, just look at Marvel, because Marvel is killing it when it comes to doing stuff for their fans. I love the fact that Marvel came out straight up and said, okay, here it is. It is what it is. This is the Runaways. We're going to give this to you. The other big show that just got released, a preview picture was released for a new Marvel TV show. And, that show really, really looks interesting. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I'm talking about the Inhumans. As you can see, the Inhumans are Gorgon, Karnak, Black Bolt, Medusa, Crystal, and Maximus. They are a lot of the costumes that are shot are really close to their original origins in the comics. This is one of those shows that could really bring the Marvel universe back to its back to it's where it should be. I know a lot of people were really upset with Iron Fist. We'll get into that in a little bit, maybe more along the lines of the idea with the Iron Fist, just because we're going to get into the Defenders a little bit. But I think that we finally, as a universe, as the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and as the fans of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, have really shown that we've actually, trust what Marvel is doing. We have everything Marvel's done has pretty much turned to gold. Yes, of course, there are some, and I've talked about this a couple of times. There are a couple of different things that have come and been released, recently that, some people aren't too crazy about. Some of the solo Thor films, some of the solo Iron Man films, but for the most part, Marvel has done an amazing job in figuring out what what Marvel fans want. And I think that's a pretty big deal for Marvel fans, because we get the Inhumans now, we get the Runaways, we get a couple of new things that make people sit back and they're like, oh man, Marvel is really giving us as fans what we want. Like I said, there's not much to be said about these. It's just a couple of pictures. The costumes and everything look really solid. Everything looks pretty good. I'm excited about both of these series. I briefly just want to touch on, I don't know, spoiler alert a little bit here. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but man, let me tell you something. This Tuesday's episode where, again, spoiler alert, we had the Marvel, all the characters, all the agents' characters break out of the framework. Ada becomes her own living being who somehow seemingly has powers, because she transported Fitz, who is freaking out about what he did, because, in theory, inside the framework, he was the cause of Jeffrey Mason's death, the Patriot. But they are doing a really good job in giving us what, I think fans of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have been wanting for a really long time. They're giving us a really solid show, and I think that, everybody's character arcs and their developments have been really solid, and I love how they pulled everybody out of the framework, except for Mac, who chose to stay back, a couple of episodes before the series finale. So that means that the season finale, will be in the real world. It could be the series finale. There's no chance that, there's a little bit of a chance that, we're going to get they might not get renewed. But there's also big news that the Ghost Rider character might come back to that show. I have been a huge proponent of, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show for a really long time. A lot of people have said that they can't get into it. Me personally, I think that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has done a great job in creating a broader Marvel universe, and I would really like to see that, maybe they get brought into the Avengers film, because I think it would be really cool for them to be like a really, really street level kind of characters on that show to, maybe help out with some of the other things that they need to do, keeping maybe Earth at bay while all these heroes are gone, fighting off, other, these big celestial beings and, like Thanos. It doesn't. We're not 100% sure if we're going to see some of the Netflix series guys in that show. So maybe they're the street level guys, but they're all in New York. There's nothing worldwide protecting. That's where S.H.I.E.L.D. can kind of come in, and that's what they can do. In the meantime, here's what the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. have been up to while we have guys like our big heroes like Thor and Iron Man, Captain America are all out and doing what they need to do to stop Thanos. I mean, that could be the idea for what the series is going to be like. So I really, guys, I implore you, if you haven't, go on Netflix and watch the entire series. Catch up with this season. Man, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. this season has been really solid, and I'm really happy with the way it's been developing. I can't wait until next week to watch the show again. It's really been interesting. Another really big thing is that the Guardians of the Galaxy is going to drop pretty soon. I think everybody's pretty much got their tickets. I'm going to see it over the weekend. Keep an eye out on Facebook.com/the Slam Sessions Podcast Network and at the Slam Sessions on Twitter, where I'll be posting a review after I go see the film myself. Spoiler free, so that, if you haven't seen it, I'll let you know what I think. Man, I have not looked forward to seeing a film for a really long time, like I have for Guardians. I know that I talked a couple of weeks ago about how I might be a little bit more, anticipation. There's maybe a little bit more anticipation on my part when it comes to the Thor film, but I just rewatched Guardians the other night, the first one, and man, that movie is just so great, and I can't wait to be reintroduced to those characters. I'm a huge Chris Pratt fan, just in general. I loved him on Parks and Rec. I love him as Star-Lord. So this is like really cool for me to see Chris Pratt back on the big screen, doing the role that I love. If you guys see Guardians before I do, man, feel free. Spoiler free though for the first couple of, for the first week or two, until maybe I do my next podcast where I do let some spoilers. I'm going to let a lot of spoilers fly. Tell me what you guys think. Post on my timeline, post on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network on Facebook, tweet me at the Slam Sessions. Let me know what you guys think of Guardians. Now, the big news. Marvel released the Defenders trailer, and man, let me tell you something. It looks badass. I'm going to do what I did last week with the trailer for The Last Jedi that dropped. I'm going to kind of play the audio over and kind of talk a little bit about what we saw, what we're getting. If you guys haven't seen it, go on YouTube, check it out. So here it is. This is the Marvel Defenders Netflix series. This is the trailer.
You have interrupted a citywide investigation. You stole evidence from my crime scene. And you got my one lead killed. I was trying to help him, but you didn't.
Jessica Jones, stop talking.
Who the hell are you?
My name is Matthew Murdoch. I'm your attorney.
It's Misty Knight talking to Jessica Jones there, just in case you guys haven't seen it yet.
How does being Harlem's hero allow you to live an actual life?
Right now, I just want to help people.
I think there's someone that you need to meet.
Hey, what are you doing in there? Who are you? Who are you? How come you can't be hurt? What's the deal with that fist?
Such cool
I'm
graphics.
the immortal Iron Fist. You what?
You're on the same side.
You four.
Great choice of music, by the way.
The devil of Hell's Kitchen. The smart-ass detective.
We got a problem?
The righteous ex-con. My bad. And the kid with a glowing fist. Yes, I want you to be. The war for New York is here.
Elektra just was revealed in the trailer also. You see Sigourney Weaver?
So get your shit together.
The more connections you have, the easier it will be to break you. You look like an idiot.
Sure, Scar.
Another great hallway fight.
We make quite a team.
No.
What are you talking about? Bulletproof. Blind ninja. Whatever it is you are.
Classy.
So there it is, guys. That's the audio from the the Defenders trailer. And man, let me tell you something. This just looks awesome. I know a lot of people weren't crazy about Iron Fist, and being a horrible, horrible host that I am, I still haven't gotten a chance to actually watch the entire series. I am actually going to go back from the beginning because I really watched Daredevil's season sporadically. I watched a lot of the Jessica Jones and Luke Cage. I watched a lot of that series, kind of a little bit more on a sporadic base too. So I want to go back and start from the beginning and watch everything as it develops. But you can obviously see there's a lot of huge characters that are being developed into this series. We see a lot of Rosario Dawson's character. She's a night nurse. We know that in the comics, her and Danny Rand wind up becoming a couple, but she looks like she's still really close to Luke Cage. We see that this show looks like it's focusing heavy on the relationship between these four characters. Jessica Jones and Daredevil look like they're going to be kind of linked up in something that Jessica Jones had done that Misty Knight has busted her for. And we're going to see these four just break out and be total badasses. But we know that Elektra will also be in the series as well. We see her come out of the casket, and it looks like in that hallway scene, which looks so cool that they keep doing these such badass hallway fights. We see Elektra looks like she's kind of creeping in the background. So, I mean, it's going to be really cool to see where Marvel goes with the Defenders, where it goes after this. We know that Claire Temple won't be in the Punisher series. That was kind of confirmed, which Rosario Dawson didn't seem too happy about because, I mean, she's been doing a pretty badass job as this character. But I love how that we have Claire, we have Misty Knight. There's like a lot of the understated characters. I'm sure Foggy will be in there somewhere. You get all these understated characters, these second leads, third leads into this series, and we don't have an answer to who the villain is going to be. I mean, That's also pretty cool. We don't know who the Defenders are defending against, and that's badass, man. I don't like the trailers where they reveal everything. I love teaser trailers. I love first trailers. Then when you get like into the nitty gritty and you start revealing things, man, it starts to get me a little mad. Not to, to be honest, I really thought that Guardians was going to go this entire time without showing Ego the Living Planet being Star-Lord's father, and I was kind of okay with seeing that on the big screen for the first time. I'm not mad that I saw it. But, I think that we really need to leave a little bit more to the imagination, because we know as Marvel fans we're all going to go out and see these films. All I can really say about the Defenders is that I think that this is a great opportunity for Marvel to really put a big stamp of approval on the Netflix series, all the Netflix series. I think it's we're integrating all these people into the series. And I think that we've really discovered a badass way to show that Marvel has been just on the right track with everything. Maybe they've hit a few bumps in the road with a couple of the series, but I think that Marvel is doing a great job, and I cannot wait to see the Defenders. Like I said, I'm going to start going back and watching everything in preparation for this. It drops August 18th. That is 6 days after my birthday, so happy birthday to me. I get the Defenders. So let me know what you guys thought of the trailer. Let me know what you guys think about the podcast in general. Start commenting. Leave me some love. I want to see what you guys have to think. Feedback is always welcome. As far as what we usually do, we do a comic of the week. This week, I wanted to kind of highlight the Defenders. I think what you need to do is I'm not going to give one comic. What I think in preparation for this, take a look at things like Heroes for Hire. Take a look at, the Defenders. Take a look at some of the different lineups that these teams have had. Dig in, get your knowledge up. Try to get yourself, a little bit more acclimated with these characters. I know we've all seen them in Netflix series, before. But, get into the background of all these characters. Support your local comic book shops. Go out there. Buy some badass comics of some of these really cool characters like Iron Fist, like Daredevil, like Jessica Jones, like Luke Cage, the Defenders, the Heroes for Hire. Get yourselves, really, ingrained into that, and, really put it into your system to know where the base material came from. So that's pretty much it for this week on the Geek Guy Podcast. Once again, on Twitter, it's at the Slam Sessions. Facebook, it's facebook.com/the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. Give us a like, give us a comment, share, please. Share these podcasts as much as you guys can. Let other people hear them. I'm not friends with everybody that you're friends with on Twitter and Facebook. Get them out there. Let other people listen to them, because that's what it's all about. And just a little bit of a plug at the end. This week, I actually recorded the first ever Dave Knows Wrestling podcast with my friend Dave Lee, who was a guest on my show last week. So there's not going to be a Slam Sessions podcast this week, because I basically did it with Dave. So go out, check that out. I'll be posting links to it on my Facebook and my Twitter. So, support Dave and support me. Guesting on, one of his shows, a little cross promotion, a little bit of help for, both of our, fan bases. I think you'll find the discussion really interesting. Also, as another programming note, next week, the Opening Whistle podcast with Avi Schiffman returns. We're going to be talking about free agency. We're going to be talking about the draft. We're going to be talking about, a little bit of an NFL preview. So if you guys are football fans, man, check that out. With that being said, I am Albert Albanese. This is the Geek Guy Podcast. And thank you guys for listening, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to the Geek Guy Podcast, right here on the Slam Sessions Podcast Network. You can follow us on Twitter at the Slam Sessions. We'll see you guys next time, and may the Force be with you.